Isaiah chapter 42, and we're going to make it real easy. We're going to start reading in verse 1. It says, "Behold my servant, whom I uphold, mine elect, and whom my soul delighteth. I have put my spirit upon him. He shall bring forth judgment to the Gentiles. He shall not cry, nor lift up, nor cause his voice to be heard in the street. A bruised reed shall he not break, and the smoking flax shall he not quench. He shall bring forth judgment unto truth. He shall not fail nor be discouraged till he hath set judgment in the earth, and the isles shall wait for his law. Thus saith God the Lord, he that created the heavens and stretched them out, he that spread forth the earth, and that which cometh out of it, he that giveth breath unto the people upon it, and spirit to them that walketh therein. I, the Lord, have called thee in righteousness, and will hold thine hand, and will keep thee, and give thee for a covenant of the people, for a light of the Gentiles." And in verse 7 is one that I would have you highlight. "To open the blind eyes, to bring out the prisoners from the prison, and them that sit in darkness out of the prison house. I am the Lord, that is my name. And my glory I will not give to another, neither my praise to graven images. Behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare before they spring forth. I tell you of them." We see Isaiah speaking prophetically of this, of the Messiah, of Jesus coming forth. And we see it put plainly that this is God that is going to be moving and doing these things. He declares himself as the Lord, and that he's going to open blind eyes, that he's going to bring prisoners out of prison cells, to them that sit in darkness out of the prison house. He makes it clear that he's not just there to set literal captives free, but to set literal spiritual captives free. That if you're interpreting this, that maybe there'll be some hope that God will bring some people out of captivity, like Jerusalem, or that like you're not going to be in Babylonian captivity, or I may be getting my tribes mixed up. I always get Judah and Jerusalem confused, or Israel, when it comes to the ones who are under what. But it's one of those things where it's like you're not. Yeah, he'll set you free. It's like you're a slave now, or you will be a slave, or you were a slave. He's going to set you free. But we're talking about something deeper. We're talking about something further. We're talking about you've been sitting in darkness. Well, he's got a solving. He can solve that. He's able. He's powerful enough. And we see in my Bible, verse 18, skipping down, there's a precipice that says Israel's failure to hear and to see. So he said all these things, that I want to open blind eyes. I will open blind eyes. I will bring the prisoners out. But then we see, hear ye deaf, and look ye blind, that ye may see. Who is blind but my servant, or deaf as my messenger that I sent? Who is blind as he that is perfect, and blind as the Lord's servant? Seeing many things, but thou observeth not. Opening the ears, but he heareth not. The Lord is well pleased for his righteousness' sake. He will magnify the law and make it honorable. But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey, and none delivereth. For a spoil, and none saith, restore. Who among you will give ear to this? Who will hearken and hear for the time to come? And then he talks about this nation under their originality. He likens them, he says, Jacob. Who gave Jacob for a spoil and Israel to robbers? Did not the Lord, he against whom we have sinned? For they would not walk in his ways, neither were they obedient unto his law. Therefore he hath poured upon him the fury of his anger, and the strength of battle, and it hath set him on fire round about. Yet he knew not, and it burned him, yet he laid it not to heart. He makes this comment. It's a question, but it's, I feel, more of a statement. Who is blind but my servant, or deaf as my messenger that I sent? That's straightforward. That's a question. Who's as blind as these? Who's as deaf as these? But then he says it as it would be again. Who is blind as he that is perfect, and is blind as the Lord's servant? In other words, you can't get deafer than this. They've heard truth. They've seen righteousness, but yet they've turned their ears off. They've tuned me out. I can look over, as it were, the sinner that has never known me, the idolater that all he's ever known is an idol. I can at least look at them and say they were born into this and they haven't known my love yet. But you've known me. You've seen me. You've heard the stories. What'd your grandfather tell you about? What? A pathway coming through the water? What'd your uncle tell you about? What? Another pathway coming through a Jordan River? You know, we talked about bread from heaven a few weeks ago, manna, quail. I'm sure that there were stories, not just what we have here, but true family stories of, man, you should have been there. I wasn't even one of the complainers. And I went out one day and I couldn't barely get a step. I couldn't hardly go to my tent because the quail were just like 2 cubits high. You know, there were, I'm sure, stories and probably even legends made from the things that God did. And I can say this because we saw that with Egypt, they did these things. With the other nations, when they have failed God and God is ready to leave them be, he looks at Moses like, we can just start over. We can just do it right. This is a stiff-necked people. We'll just do it. He looks at God and he says, but they've heard. Not them. Yeah, they've heard, but they've heard. And if you do this thing, they're going to wonder why the God of Israel killed Israel. In other words, news has went abroad. But going back to this, we liken it to us today. The world has heard the wonders of God. The world has heard the stories of his faithfulness, of his goodness. We've sang about him being a way maker. And each of us could stand up and tell in a different way from one another how we have known him as a way maker. But I've come today to say that we have a very real possibility. And that is, we can forget him as a way maker. We can tune him out. We can become deaf. And he says, who is as deaf as my servants? There's a saying, and I can't remember it the exact quotation, and I forgot to write it down. Go figure. But pretty much it is those who are best always become the worst. It's not, it's not just it was a saying, it's like, yeah, you can have bad people, you can have crazy things, but usually the best are the ones that become the worst. I know this as a fact, being a preacher's kid. And we've all heard the rumors of the falls of preacher's kids, that if anyone's going to get you into trouble, it's a preacher's kid that's backslid. That they just, for me, when I fell into sin, I had this, it's not right. Please don't take this as what? But in my head, all right, sin is sin. Well, I already sinned and pulled this switch. I might as well. So I went into everything else. It was just sin is sin. So it was the worst. For some people, it's just like, it's bad, but I'm probably not going to be that bad. But for preacher's kids, sometimes it's just like all in. I was all in for God. Now I'm all in for the world. And it's not good. But it proves the saying. And I think we can see it in Christianity for the ones who aren't preacher's kids as well. That you can have sinners saved by grace. That they get in. They're on fire. Now, don't get me wrong. God pulls them out of a lot of stuff. But the ones I have seen that have fallen back, they always fall back deeper. They always go back worse. It's not just, God delivered me from alcoholism and smoking weed, and they backslide and they're drunk smoking weed again. Usually it's like you hear them strung out on meth, or you hear something worse that has happened, that it's now their minds being ate away by the world. And I think, honestly, this comes from something I wasn't going to talk about at all, but there's the verse about how when someone comes to God, that all of the evil is taken out, that their mind is swept. It's a clean home, and the residence is of God. But there's that demon that knows the person. There's that sin, that addiction that knows the person. And though it was broken, it looks, God's still living there. And he walks to and fro. And then when he sees that the person was agitated, he sees that the person has slipped up. And when I say slipped up, I'm talking slipped. He realizes that God is no longer the resident, that the home is still clear. Everything's cleaned out, but there's an open door. You have that image in your head of a pristine home. Has anybody seen like the abandoned houses? They look ghostly because it's like they will look clean and, like I said, pristine, but the door will be wide open and you'll see a few leaves blowing in on a mopped floor. And I think that's spiritually how it looks like to the enemy. He sees that person who has fell away, has allowed his life to begin slipping and slipping and slipping. And finally, he comes in. But it says that he doesn't move back in alone. But he brings 7 more. So we always think of it as, all right, now this person has 7 demons to work out. No, he has 8. He has 1 plus 7 more. That is why the wickedness comes. That is why it becomes worse. The things that they never would have done become. That's why they lose their mind, because now they're fighting against hell. They've been born again. They've been baptized in the name of Jesus. They've spoken tongues. But then they've fallen back into that which God delivered them from. And hell comes back. But he comes back 7 plus 1 times stronger. That's why it's we have to be careful. We have to make sure we don't become deaf. We don't become blind. That we may fall. So here's the thing. The enemy will try to get you to think that as soon as you backslide, that the door's open, leaves are coming in, and he can just step foot. And that's the lie he will tell you to allow his friends in. It's not like God just like, they cussed. I'm out of here. Like, no. It's, all right, the person who cusses and then decides, that felt pretty good. I think I'm going to flip off the guy next to me. I think I'm going to go back and do that. I don't think I'm going to church this morning. The bed is pretty nice. That is the way he moves in. When we kick God out of our life, we kick God out, and we, without realizing it, allow the enemy in. I told you this message today, it's weird. I know. I don't even have a good title. I couldn't even give Sister Kaylee one to help out today. Because I just have these chapters, these verses, and this warning that we have to stay in church. We have to stay in God. We have to keep God in us. And even if you slip, even if you fall, even if you backslide, get back to God. Hear, ye deaf. See, ye blind. Look. That's what he said. He came to open the blinded eyes, to set the captives free. It is no coincidence that the prophet writes these words from God, and then we see Christ speaking the words, saying, this is why I have come, to set you free, to make you new. I can do it. That's what he says. There's no prerequisite on, I can only do it if you're a Jew. Or I can only do it if your father was a preacher. Or I can only do it if you've been in church. You know, like we talk about, like, is it flight school and those things that, like, hours of service. Like, you have to have 480 hours of service unto God, and then he'll set you free. No! He'll set you free from the first off. And then he'll keep you free the rest of your life if you let him. But it's up to us. We can be a people that is robbed and spoiled if we allow it. We can be a people that are snared in holes if we allow it. We can find, it says, and they are hid in prison houses. To me, that says it's not even that they're just prisoners. They're hiding. Like, I'm not a prisoner, but I know this cage is pretty good at holding people in. Maybe it'll keep some people out. It's like, no, you have Jesus. He can be on your side. Now, with all of this craziness of the people and how deaf they are, how blind they are, how ensnared they've allowed themselves to become, we would look at this and we would say, wow, what are you going to do about that, God? Like, are you really going to bring them back? I mean, these are the people that they don't just backslide and allow 8 demons to come back into their life, but they backslide, then they backslide, then they backslide. I mean, we just go back to Egypt, or I should say the wandering out of Egypt. You know, it's like, man, we're hungry. And they talk against God, Moses, and everything. God gives the manna. We see everything sufficed. We could say, all right, maybe they're coming back. And then, we're thirsty. We're tired. We're hungry again. Like, it's complaint. I don't know about Moses being a leader. I think Korah would make a good leader. What do you guys think? I think this guy, I know God's used him, but this guy's pretty nice. And like, they fall and they falter and they fail over and over and over. But yet we see God redeeming. We never see him saying, all right, go back to Egypt. I'm done. You know, the fact of the matter is, now you could say, well, he did make them wander. Yeah, he did punish a big deal because, you know, they were disquantifying God's ability to bring them in to Canaan. You know, the whole, you put in GPS routes, land flowing with milk and honey. Start. 5 miles away. All right, we're going to go ahead and scout ahead. Let's see what we got to go into. They come back and say, oh, there's giants. We're like grasshoppers. And land's nice, but no chance. And like literally their GPS is still saying, turn left. Go forward 5 miles or go forward 20 miles, whatever. It's their goal is right there. Like the reason God, like you could literally put it in on a piece of paper and say, all right, what has God told us? That he would deliver us. Check. He fed us. Check. He watered us. Check. He's given us favor when we are attacked. Check. There's been some people that have hired prophets to try to speak against us, but he turns the words around in their mouths. Check. He's for us. Check. What's our end goal? Promised land with a little box ready to be checked. And they're right there. I just don't know if we can do it. If they would have just said that, I think God would have let a checkbox stay. Like, I just don't know if we can do it. But he can. Yeah, check. But instead it just turns into, yeah, we can't. There is no way. No way. And that's why he punishes those people. It makes them wander and only lets their kids, Joshua and Caleb, go in. Because it was literally they failed their GPS route. They failed their end goal. I've done this, and this. All right. I'll bless your kids then. I'll let them see what I have for them. Now I digress. But I want to bring it back because we look at us and we do the same things, but we're so hard on ourselves. We falter and people backslide and they leave God. They leave church. They get out of his mindset because they literally think God just gives up on them in a moment's notice. And it's not like that. All right. My checkbox still says I'm going to see him. I'm still aiming for him. As long as I keep walking and praying and getting right when I know I'm wrong, he'll be my way maker. He'll get me through. Now this people, like I said, you would think at this point, just maybe, God's had enough. Maybe. He says all this thing, but they still, that guy's over there, he's worshiping a rock. Like how annoying. I know I'm off subject, well, not off subject, but off sermon. Let's just talk for a minute. How annoying would that be to be God and you see some dude like, would you please make it rain? I'd really like rain tomorrow. Hey, I'm up here. Like, why are you talking to a bottle? Like, why'd you paint a face on a volleyball and worship Wilson? Like, what? No, don't know. Like, it ain't, you made it. He talks in one part about, the things they made with their own hands. Like, that has to be frustrating to God. Like, I'm just stopping. But he says all this, and he loves them. He still pulls them back. And then we see chapter 43, and we see how he'll pull them back. Listen to his words in verse 1. He talks about them in verse 25 of 42, about pouring out the fury of his anger and all this stuff. Who gave Jacob for a spoil in the verse before, and Israel to the robbers? Did not the Lord, he against whom we have sinned? He talks about the judgment. He talks about the trying to get them to come back. And then verse 1 of chapter 43. But now thus saith the Lord, that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel. Yeah, I'm not leaving either one of you out. I mentioned you prior, so I'm mentioning you again. Jacob, Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name. Thou art mine. When thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee, and through the rivers they shall not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall the flame kindle upon thee. For I am the Lord thy God, the Holy One of Israel. He talks in verse 4, how they're precious in his sight. Thou hast been honorable. Been. Does anybody know, like, what stage is the word been? Is that a past, present, or future tense? Past? Thou hast been honorable. You're not honorable right now. Like, you're worshiping that rock. You're doing that thing. You've forgotten me. But he says, since thou wast precious, you were precious in my sight. Thou hast been honorable. He says, I have loved thee. Therefore will I give men for thee and people for thy life. Fear not, for I am with thee. You were, but I am. Get that? You were honorable. You did get it right a few times, but because I know the heart, because I know that you're wanting to get it right, because I know that you just get caught up in your own stupid things, I am with thee. I will be with thee. Skipping down, verse 8. Bring forth the blind people that have eyes, and the deaf that have ears. In other words, as long as there's an ear canal, as long as they haven't plucked out their own eyes, spiritually, I'm saving them. I can touch them. Let all the nations be gathered together, and let the people be assembled. Who among them can declare this and show us former things? Let them bring forth their witnesses, that they may be justified. Or let them hear and say, it is truth. And then he says, ye are my witnesses, saith the Lord, and my servant whom I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me, and understand that I am he. Before me there was no God formed, neither shall there be after me. I, even I, am the Lord, and beside me there is no Savior. I have declared and have saved. I have shown when there was no strange God among you. Therefore ye are my witnesses, saith the Lord, that I am God. Before the day was, I am he, and there is none that can deliver out of my hand. I will work, and who shall let it? Thus saith the Lord, your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. Now, get this. He says all of this. And I believe we can take it today. I know it's a quiet service. It's just a somber. Maybe this is a Wednesday on Sunday. I apologize. It's not as full of fire as a normal Sunday service. It's not as evangelical as some. But I believe there is a message for you to glean, that he is your God. And ultimately, you're looking at you, and you judge you by how you are now. But he looks at you, and he looks at you and says, they have been honorable. I know their heart. They want to do good. They want to get it right. They're trying. They get mixed up. They backslide from time to time. They complain about manna every once in a while. But at the deepest part of it all. They love me. And as long as there's love, they have an ear. As long as there's love, they have eyes. And if they have eyes, and if they have ears, I will make them see, and I will let them hear, because I love thee. I am today. I'm better. He's saying, I am better now than you ever were then or ever are now, and I will still pull you in to me. All you have to do is hear, look, see. Allow me to open the blinded eyes, to bring out the prisoners from the prison, and them that sit in darkness out of the prison house. Allow me to restore when none saith restore. When you were hiding in your snared holes, when you were hiding in the prison cells, just call on me and I will give you rest. I will set the captive free. Even I am the Lord, and beside me, he says, there is no Savior. In mine, I highlighted this. Let them bring forth their witnesses, that they may be justified. Or let them hear and say it is the truth. Ye are my witnesses. You say, now, Brother Smith, what's so powerful about that? Witnesses were an important thing in this time. Part of law was if you had something to bring against somebody, it couldn't just be he said, she said. It had to be you and 2 or best is 3 witnesses. In other words, yeah, Sister Savannah, she stole my donkey. I had it parked right out there. She stole it. Judge looks at us both and says, all right, who else saw it? No one. Well, where's your donkey now? Well, she gave it back, but that's not the point. She stole it yesterday. Like, well, it's there, though. Or she says you sold it to her. Or you know, like there's, but, no. Now, though, if we have a witness, if there's something else to where suddenly I can look at it and say, well, this person, they did this. They set my field on fire. Well, did anybody else see it? Yeah, the neighbor did. He was out there with me. We both saw that guy get in his chariot, I almost said car, and fly away from there. You know, now you have some presidents. Yeah, well, actually, I had the neighbor and I had this guy over here. I don't even know him. What's your name? Larry. I had Larry. He saw him. He saw the guy in a hurry. Now, suddenly, you have a case. He says, do I have a case? This is God. He knows when he's looking at them, talking about witnesses, that their mind is going to think of these things. Do we have a case for God? Because, get this, you always argue your case to God. Your case, when the enemy tries to get you to falter, you think of what he's done in your life. And one witness, well, he's been good, but why would he make it happen like this? Maybe he isn't that good. Like, that's what the enemy will try to get us. But if we remember this witness thing, this witness protection, now I can pull in testimonies of those around me. Well, I'm going through a hard time. But then Sister Spurlock tells me, wow, you know what? I went through a hard time like that, but I just kept praying and he got me through. I haven't got through yet, but now I have a witness saying that he'll get me through. I know what he's done before, so I have a witness saying that I should probably believe it. Then I talk to somebody else. Yeah, he's been so good to me. He did this, he did that, he did the other. Now I have a third witness, and the enemy's just standing there, but. And if I look at it, he doesn't have a case. God says, ye are my witnesses. Let them bring forth their witnesses, that they may be justified. Let them hear and say it is truth. Ye are my witnesses. I've chosen you, that ye may know and believe me and understand that I, even I, am the Lord. Beside me, there is none other, no other Savior. I would ask that you would read this passage on your own time. He talks about, I have declared and have saved, I've shown. He talks about, thus saith the Lord, your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, for your sake I have sent to Babylon. In other words, I'm making a way of rescue even now. He talks about being the Holy One, the Creator. Thus saith the Lord in verse 16, which maketh a way in the sea and a path in the mighty waters. He brings up his own witness. He brings up his own history. You want to know that I can do it? Well, you remember Jordan. You remember that whole sea incident, which bringeth forth the chariot and horse, the army and the power. They shall lie down together, they shall not rise. They are extinct. They are quenched as tow. Remember ye not the former things, neither consider the things of old. And in verse 19, behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall ye know it? I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. I believe that there was somebody in this time that they were going through something, and that the enemy had probably looked at them and said, well, he parted waters for Moses, but you ain't old Mo. He parted Jordan for old Joshua, but guess what? You aren't Joshua. You know what? They were thirsty during that walk for 40 years. But do you really think he loves you like he loved them? And that person, they probably like, I mean, it's a valid point. Look at me. I've been worshiping these things. I've been going to other false gods. I've been doing all of these things. How could he love me? And I feel like we can say that today. Let's just go ahead. You know what? I apologize for your loss of time, but let me just say it like this. I feel like there is somebody today that you are sitting in this room and you are feeling like this. I am not Moses. I am not Joshua. Brother Massey told me about a 41st day, but is there really a day 41? Is there really a chance for me? Because I am nothing like them. My prayer life is lacking. My fasting is for naught. I feel like I'm doubting him every twist of the turn. I have come today to tell you that God has chosen you. Fear not, O Jacob, he that formed thee, O Israel. Fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name. Thou art mine. And then he would tell you, you don't have a wilderness story like them, huh? You don't have a thirsty story like them, huh? Well, you seem like you're in one right now. But I'll do a new thing. Oh, now it will spring forth. Shall ye not know it? In other words, are you going to look? Are you going to hear? Are you going to come out? Shall ye not know it? I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. I will do what I did then for you now, because I love you now just like I loved them then. Are you hearing what I'm saying? He loves you. He's for you. He wants to be with you. It doesn't matter if you're blind today. You can see. It doesn't matter if you're deaf today. You can hear. You can turn around. You can listen. There is hope. There is peace. This people, he says in verse 21, have I formed for myself. They shall show forth my praise. But he does say a way that we could allow this not to happen. In verse 22, but thou hast not called me. Oh, I want you to have peace. I want you to have joy. I want you to have rivers in the desert. I want you to make it through the wilderness. You're captive. I want to unlock the cell. I've actually unlocked it already. You just have to push it forward. You just have to get out. But thou hast not called upon me, O Jacob, but thou hast been weary of me, O Israel. Thou hast not brought me the small cattle of thy burnt offerings, neither hast thou honored me with thy sacrifices. I have not caused thee to serve with an offering, nor wearied thee with incense. In other words, I've asked you these things. You know the temple work. You know what I require, but at the end of the day, I've been telling you I love you. And I haven't been saying, I love you, now bring me a cow. I love you, now light an incense stick. I haven't wearied you with this. I have not caused thee to serve with an offering. Thou hast brought me no sweet cane with money, bought me no sweet cane with money. Neither hast thou filled me with the fat of thy sacrifices, but thou hast made me to serve with thy sins. Thou hast wearied me with thine iniquities. I, even I, am he that blotteth out thy transgressions for mine own sake, and will not remember thy sins. Put me in remembrance. Let us plead together. Declare thou that thou mayest be justified. Thy first father hath sinned, and thy teachers have transgressed against me. Therefore I have profaned the princes of the sanctuary, and have given Jacob to the curse, and Israel to the reproaches. And we say, Brother Smith, you were on a high note earlier. I really liked it when you were telling me about how I can get through the desert. Now you're talking about leaving them to the curse and Israel to the reproaches. But I believe, once again, we see prophetic. We see a time period for them then, yes. But we also see a time period for us now. That we can refuse to give him what he deserves. He doesn't beg us for it. He doesn't beg you to pay tithes. He expects it. There's enough scripture for it. I'll probably be making a post about it because I saw somebody else's research and I loved it. And about all the scriptural reasons as to why you pay a tenth of whatever you make. My son today, he found $20 the other day. $20. And it was cool because he literally just saw this belt and he wanted it. And I said, I don't know. We'll see about it. He's like, I pay for my money. He's like, yeah, I don't know how much money you got, buddy. So let's just think about it. Literally, I'm in the coffee aisle, no lie. And it winds up being that there's just this random 20 laying there. Nobody else around. He goes, Dad, money. I'm like, what? And there's a $20 right there. Nobody around. Nobody's claiming it. Nobody's searching. Nobody's looking. I looked around making sure like there wasn't somebody just with a purse hanging out or something. There's nobody around. And he takes it. He's like, all right, we'll talk to your mom. I'm thinking you're getting a belt. But we told him today, it's like, now $2 is going to go to God. And he was cool with that. He gave $2. He was proud, Brother Massey, to put an envelope into the offering plate today. Now, did God come overnight and give him a dream saying, now $2 is mine? No. Did I beat him over the head saying, now you got to give it to him? No, I'm not going to love you if you... No. It was just a simple, this is what we do. This is our God. This is what he does. My wife, showed him scriptures showing tithing. And I know he's young, but start him old or young, right? He gave $2 and he was happy about it. He hasn't seen any TV evangelists to make him question giving. He's not worried whether, the church is going to just have closed doors one day and we're living in the Bahamas. Because that can't happen anyways. And everybody knows it would be either the mountains or Destin. But that's besides the point. I'm joking. But he knew. We let him understand. But we don't beat him over the head. And that's what he's saying. Like, you know that you're supposed to give. Have I bugged you about it? You know that there's some incense that you would make special that it's kind of cool. I know I'm just digressing, but rabbit hole. But there's this incense. I'd love to know what it smells like, because literally you're not allowed to make it for yourself in the temple. It's only for him. All the flavors and the incenses, he said that he put it together and it was for his temple, for his duty, and nobody else could replicate it. Like nobody else. You couldn't just walk around and say, oh, what's that? Oh, that's the Lord's number 7. Like, I would love to know what that is, but he didn't look at them and say, I expect that on a daily basis. In fact, the Assyrians got you because you didn't give me that cow. The Babylonians have you because you didn't pay $2 on that 20. No. He says, I've not caused thee to serve with an offering. I've not worried thee. But he tells the root cause of it. It's because you all just keep sinning, transgressing, and falling. You profaned the sanctuary. So that's why I've cursed Jacob. That's why I've given Israel to reproach. But even then, as we come to a close, and Sister Kylie, if you wouldn't mind playing for a moment. Even then, it's not a finality. Failures are not finality. Heard that before. Even then, he has them scribe this. And it's not for, so I have given up on thee, O Jacob, and Israel, you are a reproach forever. No. He's just saying, this is your current situation. But have you heard everything before it? Do you remember what I said before? Just hear. Just look. Just listen. Just come back. Just come back. Just come back. Brother Massey, would you mind looking up 2 Corinthians chapter 10? Verses 3 through 5 real fast. I forgot to tell you earlier. God is our way maker, our gentle redeemer, our compassionate healer. He's our faithful companion, and he's our ultimate victor. 2 Corinthians 10, 3 through 5. He wants to work with you. He wants you to think not on all your failures and your mistakes. You can think on them long enough to say, God, I am sorry. That's what he says about that. He tells them, I'll blot out your sins. I'll forget the transgressions. I won't even allow it to be in remembrance. Just come back. Just come back. But the enemy will try his best to tear you down just like he did them. He will do his best to aim every weapon he has, including your past, and shoot it in your face. That's how he will. But what does Brother Paul say in 2 Corinthians? Did you hear that? Say that first verse again. For though you walk in the flesh, you don't war after the flesh. So Paul's right there. You walk in the flesh, your flesh. Pinched my hand yesterday. I have a blood blister. You know what? That just tells me I'm human. Like, I still bleed. I still get hurt. I walk in the flesh. But the enemy will try to get me to think I war in the flesh. That when something bad happens, well, I don't have my phone on, but I need to, or I need to, what's this about? Or I need to, this is my thought, or I just need to quit my job. Or I just need to tell them to quit their job. Or I just need to, no, it's carnal. Keep going. But the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. He doesn't just stop there and make you wonder, oh, so they're mighty through God. Well, thanks, Paul, but I feel pretty captive. And I know I have Isaiah. I know I have this first part. But mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. There is the crux of the matter. What is it that you're fighting? Can we stand? What is it that you're going through? What is it that the enemy thinks he has you just tied down with? And either God needs to break the chain today, or he has already broken the chain. The answer for you is still this. Whatever that is, all right? So the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God. So I can get through it. I can trust in God. I can go to him. But then I need to pray that God tears down the stronghold. What is it? What's your stronghold? Don't say it out loud. You may not want people to hear. You may be embarrassed. It may just be anger. It may just be, man, it seems like whenever I pinch my hand, I just, like whatever. I stub my toe and bad thoughts come to my head. Or I go here and I think this, or I do that, whatever your stronghold is. It says that you don't have to war with this. I don't war with a blood blister. I don't war with me, but I give it to God. I give it to him because the key in 22 was, thou hast not called upon me, O Jacob, but thou hast been weary of me, O Israel. I didn't ask for an offering. I didn't ask for the incense. Yeah, it would have been nice. Yeah, it is required. But when it comes to our relationship, just getting you back in, I didn't bug you about that. But the problem is, you just haven't called on me. But if you call on me, I'll pull it down. But if you call on me, I can break it. This week, I want us to do something crazy. We haven't had a corporate fast for a while, and I know everybody, including myself, and I know what's going on. We go, what? What am I not going to get? But it's pretty easy. Since it's short notice, this is what I'm asking tomorrow. I would like for us to, Monday through Thursday, each day, give up something or do something so that we call on God and we tear down our stronghold. So before I tell you what we're doing, maybe I should tell you, that way you're not freaking out. So Monday, tomorrow, you don't have to go to the store for anything. Shouldn't. Maybe just have to stop by the gas station. So what is your favorite morning drink? Are you a tea drinker? God help you. We're not British. I'm just joking. God forgive me and those watching online, but it's the truth. Are you a coffee drinker? Are you a tea drinker? Are you a rock star? Are you a monster? Are you a Rip It? Are you a Nos? What are you? your favorite drink, I would ask that you would give it up. But this is where, so if you drink tea and you're worried about headaches, then drink a cup of coffee. If you drink coffee, but you're giving up coffee, but you know that you drink a lot of caffeine, then drink a Mountain Dew. If you can't give it up cold turkey, trade it out with something that you don't really care as much for. You know, it's not like, all right, God, I'm fasting black coffee. That's how I always do. Today I'm getting a latte. Like, no. Lord, you know I limit my cream and sugar intake in the morning, so I'm not going to have the black coffee, but Lord, bless this macchiato. No. Trade it out for something. You know, do something different. That way you're not in a bad mood while you're fasting. Because truly, we're calling it a fast, but it's not really. This is just going to make our minds think different. Pray and ask God about whatever it is you fight. What is it? Is it anger? Is it lust? Is it discord? What is it? You have something. I know you do. Not because I'm judging you, but because I know you bleed. I know you hunger. I know you're human. So there's something. Take it before God. Call upon Him and give it to Him. Tuesday, this is the more difficult of the days. I would ask that you think food-wise, soup, salad, fruit. In other words, no dessert. You know, like chunky chili, that's between you and God. You know, what your salad looks like, that's between you and God. Once again, this is just something to get. What I want to do is bring back, and I don't know how we all are at fasting, and this is a good stepping stone into it to say, all right, I need to do this again. I need to, because this isn't about, like, God's not going to look and say, whoa, Sister Amy, she had a ranch salad today. Bless her. But it probably won't be like that for everyone. But what it will do is it'll kill your flesh. And it'll get you more into this. So when you're, oh man, when I wake up in the morning and I don't have coffee and I'm going and I'm grabbing and I realize, oh, my favorite mug is going to be empty. What am I going to do? I'm going to be forced to say, all right, God, I'm doing this to put my flesh in tow. I want to be closer to you. I want to be closer to you. If you're having a steak salad, that's fine. Chunky chili or chicken enchilada, whatever, that's fine. You're eating a bucket of fruit. You're not hungering at all on Tuesday. That's fine. But when you are wanting the donut, because probably that'll be the day that we get donuts where I work. When your friend has the pitch in and says, try this cupcake, like that will be the day, then that will be the moment that it's not, am I going to sin against God? No, it's, God, I am wanting a closer walk with you. Wednesday is easy. You can fast something if you want, because prayer and fasting go hand in hand. But I'm not delegating anything. I'm not even suggesting anything. I'm just asking if you can be here for the 6 p.m. corporate prayer. Thursday, limited media. Now, this may be harder than food. I don't know. But we have the discipleship now. So when I say limited media, in other words, you don't get to watch cute llamas on YouTube all day. Sorry, Sister Kylie. You don't get to watch that favorite whatever, no matter how clean and good and pure and holy it is. But you turn on discipleship now and you watch a sermon by Brother Urshan. You go through one of the discipleship series that like have 5 days, and instead of spending 5 hours on television or 12 hours on television, you watch this segment and that segment, and that's it. You can drink a coffee, you can eat a cheeseburger, but just make sure you still pray. And that's Thursday. And that's it. Monday, no coffee or favorite morning drink. Pretty much trade out your pick-me-up with another, something that sets off your routine. Tuesday, soup, salad, fruit, no desserts. Wednesday, we pray together at 6 p.m. Thursday, we have limited media for discipleship now. And the reason for this, like I said, to just go back as we come to a close, is to get ourselves, let's make sure that we're not hiding in any prison cells. If you're fighting some things, maybe you're fighting an attitude. Maybe you're fighting a thought pattern. Whatever it is, maybe you're fighting your wife. No, I'm just joking. I'm kidding. I had to add some humor. Whatever it is, so whatever it is that you're struggling with, just let this be a time that you say, God, you said you would set the captives free. You said you would break the chains, and I haven't done this for a while. I haven't given up anything for a while. And I want to be less carnal and more spiritual. So God, this is my week to give my week to you. This is the time I give to you, and I make it your week. Have thy way. That's all I got. Can we pray? Oh God, I'm hungry for you. You can take us offline, sister.